Okay, so welcome everybody to the live stream today from Content Marketing Virtual Summit. We have over 10,000 people attending. We have approximately 80 speakers per year. And this year we added two additional events. So we have a FinTech focus. And today I'm going to be talking live with one of the speakers at the FinTech focus, Vivek Banka. Welcome to the live stream.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks a lot for having me here.
So I'm going to let you sort of quickly describe, first of all, the fintech that you're working on and who it serves. And then I'll ask you some more questions about that. So why don't you go ahead and just quickly let the audience know what is the fintech you're working on and who does it serve?
Right. Thanks, Jay. I think fintech's been a crazy buzzword over the last couple of years, but I think some of it is not very unfounded. I think the euphoria around it because a lot of industries have changed, landscapes in terms of the technology adoption, etc. But unfortunately, the one industry which Gold Teller is working on right now and which I think has not got disrupted yet with technology is the wealth tech, and specifically within wealth tech, the advisory tech. And as we most of us would have seen, globally, most of the private equity or venture capital funding is directed towards wealth tech platforms or fintech platforms that offer execution services. But there are very, very few companies who are actually focusing on the advisory tech, which is essentially building a platform where the need for a human advisor practically gets eradicated, which ensures the well-being of a user, proper financial planning, not only at the time of investment, but across his lifespan and across his dependents' lifespans. So that is
So
what we are trying to solve through Voltella.
yeah, let me jump in and make sure everybody who's listening can follow along. So Vivek Banka is the managing director and founder of Gold Teller in India. And the problem that Gold Teller is really solving is a lot of people are essentially not managing their investments, their wealth proactively. And one reason for that is because a lot of the wealth management establishments may not have the amount of time to serve the new wealth that's being created, and they need that wealth management tools and service. And they want to do it at their own convenience. They want to do it at home, and they want to be guided. So the problem that Gold Teller is serving is how to manage the goals around your financial wealth and around your financial future. And so Vivek, in terms of, you have shared with me in the past that there are sort of three main areas that you think people that your target market really need help on. So could you just walk me through those top three things that you think people need help on? And I know one of them is like security, right? Like when they're passed on to other generations. Another one is like how to maximize the wealth that they've already accumulated, like make sure that they're getting the returns and not having it depreciating value because of inflation. And then you had one more as well, right? Like actually,
which is your lifestyle. The lifestyle is in accordance with your goals and your income levels.
So could you just walk very quickly? The three are lifestyle planning, right? Like using money better, wealth planning, so actually making sure your money appreciates and doesn't lose value, and preserving what you have, not losing it to risky choices. And the third one is actually security. So if you face an illness or you face like a catastrophic, like your end of life, to make sure that wealth is secure for the next generation. So is that correct? Are those the top three?
Yeah, that's right. So essentially, for any individual who plans, any individual, or even for that matter, family office, let's stick to an individual for the time being. If they manage for their personal finances, there are three different distinct verticals that they need to ideally, take care of. One is the investment part, one is the lifestyle, and one is the security part. Investment one is the easiest one in terms of the fact that a lot of people are doing that, but unfortunately, it's not done year on year. So we at Gold Teller, of course, try to maximize the returns for individuals who come onto our platform by suggesting them better investment opportunities, more tax efficient investment opportunities, very low cost investment opportunities. So over a period of time, they can maximize their wealth. That's one part of it. The second part is the lifestyle piece. Now, as we know, there's a term called lifestyle creep. What happens is, as our incomes grow up, grow our lifestyles also most of the times adjust proportionately, or at times disproportionately higher also. So it's very important for us to be in sync, or our goals to be in sync with our lifestyle. So goal teller tells the individual whether the current lifestyle he's living is in sync with his goals and his current income, expenditure, etc. And if there is any course correction needed, we actually tell the user what is the solution for that course correction. Just a second, I think that's
That's the exciting thing about a live stream, right? Is that it's live when the plane is flying over. But I think to kind of build on what you're saying,
yes, and then
I really like the way that Gold Teller has organized things. Like, when can I retire? Should I rent or buy? I mean, that's a great one. Should I rent or buy? And really helping people understand the impact of that decision long term on their on that lifestyle decision, if you will, on their future. And when they can make those decisions at the right time, it has a huge impact over time, right? So if they make those decisions earlier and putting it on a platform where they can get it basically real time adjustments every week, every month, based on what's going on in their financial behavior. So it's essentially much more adaptive than waiting. Maybe you forget to go to the advisor for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years goes by. I'll do it sometime. This is actually
absolutely
much more proactive, kind of simple way. Now, the other thing I think you would be great for our audience is briefly, Vivek, to just share, like, who is your target? Like, you're focusing currently.
I think the last segment I missed out because of, I think, the security part. A lot of people, in fact, ignore the security part, especially people who are individuals, in terms of what happens to our dependents in case if we're not around. So we do not actually pay a lot of attention to it. And the whole process of understanding whether our investments are well nominated, we have a will in place, etc. So these are small but very essential things that we ensure that each individual takes care of properly. Now, coming back to your question in terms of who's the actual right fit for a product or a platform like this, I think we have designed this platform for people who are currently, advised by different banks, different wealth managers. They don't have a single platform where they can assimilate everything, for different purposes of investments, tax, security. They got to go to different people. One's a tax consultant, one is an investment professional, then you got an estate planner. So we are essentially merging in all these three services into a single platform, because at a cost which is lower than possibly $200 a year. So we feel this will democratize the way investments and advisory, the way it works, not only in India but globally. And individuals who do not have access to such services will get benefit, of things like estate planning, wills, lifestyle, even maximizing investments at dirt cheap costs.
Yeah, I mean, I think the critical thing is that you worked across these types of services, firsthand for many years at your own investment firm, Bullseye, and also BNP Paribas, a very well-known international company. And so you were doing these services for people, and you were seeing people missing, not necessarily making time for those appointments, or coming into you, and you were saying, well, you should have come 5 years ago because you really lost out on a lot of opportunity here. Or maybe you had some, of the children coming and saying, unfortunately, our dad or one of our parents passed away suddenly, and we don't know where the funds are, and we don't know how to access them. And so you actually personally had to deal with all of these types of very severe, outcomes. And also you saw repeatedly, if people could plan their finances more dynamically earlier, they're going to have a lot less stress. They're going to actually have more peace of mind. They're going to have more options to live a life that is really fulfilling, and so that's a lot of motivation, right, to why you started GoldTeller. So how many people in India do you feel like the total, kind of your target market? What would you say? Is it like in the millions? How many people in India?
So we've got actually two different verticals. The vertical that I've spoken about is our advisory vertical, where investors or users typically pay a subscription fee, which could range from anywhere from, as I said, $100 to $500, depending on the kind of service they undertake. And for this specific, business vertical, I think in India, typically as per our own study, there should be approximately 10 to 15 odd million people in this segment, which is in Indian terms, it's around a crore and a half people. And for our different model, what we've done is we've stripped a lot of these services as sub tools, so that a user does not have to spend 15-20 minutes to get to see the value in the product. So for that, I think our target size is much higher. That will be approximately around anywhere from 100 to 200 million odd people.
I mean, the interesting thing that you're really doing is you're part of a trend, and that trend is growing. And the trend is essentially if people can know a few things, every week, every month about managing their life, money for lifestyle, money for savings, and building wealth, that's actually a trend that people want to feel empowered. They don't want to wait until to have the call with somebody. And they also want it to be kind of neutral, and they want it to be personalized, instead of feeling like they're getting the same, advice that their advisor's giving to maybe a lot of other people. I had a friend of mine, just the last couple months, kept asking me repeatedly, like, what is the best advice that I could provide on maximizing the value of their savings over time? And they were concerned about inflation, and they were also concerned about, like, for example, in different countries, the exchange rates can change, and money can become either worth a lot less, or can actually become more valuable, and so on. So, I really think GoldTeller, it sounds like you're really addressing something that you personally have dealt with, and for a target market that's growing. And from your experience so far, could you just share in the last few moments we have some of the feedback you've gotten specifically from people who've used GoldTeller, and kind of the before and after?
Yeah, I think we are fairly enthused by the limited response we've got right now, because, fortunately or unfortunately, what we're doing right now is actually slightly path-breaking, because, as I mentioned earlier, most VC money or private equity money are going towards execution platforms. So when a user comes into GoldTeller and he sees that they're getting actionable advice, which helps them in all these three distinct verticals of their lives, lifestyle, investments, and security, I think they're very happy with that, something which they've not seen before. Of course, they are worried. They have questions and apprehensions whether we can continue the good work across their lifetimes or not. But yeah, I think the algos that we are building, I'm confident that not only across their lifestyles, but even their dependents' lifestyles will be taken care of.
Well, I to sum it up, I think that if you could take your experience, and essentially when people join a platform like GoldTeller, it's not actually what it is. It's not just software. It's really your experience and your team's experience in helping dozens or hundreds of people with these types of questions over the many years, and they're sort of getting that embedded in a decision engine in GoldTeller, like guides and tools and so on.
Absolutely.
As I said earlier, I think there's a lot of stress and worry around these things, and consequences for people not solving them. So, given that GoldTeller is making it essentially the barrier to entry to learn how to accumulate wealth and use wealth better and pass it on, I think reducing the barrier is pretty exciting to getting that knowledge and feeling, custom adaptive.
I think you brilliantly summed it up.
So, Well, you're a good guest, and you've been sharing information about your vision and what you're doing. So I think I'm basically saying what you shared with us, and I appreciate you being on.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's been great having you here, Vivek. And for everyone who's listening, we're going to have this approximately once a week, and would love to have you suggest any information you would like to learn more about fintech, innovation, and how you can make your life better. If you're in India or you're around the world, let us know what you learned today about financial planning and sort of using tools to essentially make better decisions earlier throughout your financial life. Thanks again, Vivek. It's great to have you.
Thank you, Jay. Thanks so much.
Take care, everybody. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks, everyone.